Welcome back. In this video, we're going to go ahead and make a domino model using negate and union. Okay, so the first thing we need is to insert a block. Okay, now let's pick a good size for this, and you can pick any color you want. I'm gonna make mine some kind of light violet color. Okay, so on the size, let's see, on the width, X, we'll do 12. The height, Y, I'll make 1. And then the length, let me see, along Z, let's try 24. See how, no, that's way too long. Let's try 20. Let me do a top view to see how big that is. Yeah, actually 20. So 12, 120 looks like a good size. And I'm going to move this over. And I'm using this, I like using the top view from the view selector whenever I want to get a good view for alignment here. Okay, that looks good. And move it over. Oh, okay, one thing on this one. Since we're going to be placing these dots and we want them to be evenly spaced, we actually want to turn on the move snap to grid. That'll make things a lot easier to make sure everything's aligned. And I actually should have done that at the beginning. So let me start over again. So let me erase this, because this is why. Because if I look at the position, notice how it's got these decimals. Now you can fix this. This is pretty close to 0 here. So I'll just change that to 0. And this one's pretty close to -18. So I'll change that to -18. If you had turned on snap to grid before inserting this piece, all of the position here, they would have been nice numbers, integers. They would have been whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of decimals. Okay, but easy enough to change. Okay, so the next thing is we want to insert the parts that we're going to use to cut out the holes. So I'm just going to use spheres. So let me go ahead and insert a sphere. Okay, and let's think about the size. Oh, and I have collisions turned on, which I need to turn off. Okay, let me make this white in order to make it show up a little better. And now let me see what the position and size is. Yeah, so since I had the move snap to grid on before I inserted this part, you can see that the size, well, actually the position is made up of, oh, actually the Z, I guess it didn't matter. The Z is still a decimal, so I'm going to change that to a -11. I just like everything to be nice whole numbers here. Okay, so let me change the size. The size I want to be, let's try 2. Let's see how big 2 is. No, that's too small. Again, looks like a 3. Yeah, a 3 would work. Okay, so now here's the advantage. So now that everything is gonna move using this snap to grid, and I've set the move distance to 1 stud, so everything's gonna move by 1. So watch, let me show you how it's gonna move. See how it moves by 1 every time? And you can actually see down here in the properties window. Let me start over here. Notice how the position right now for X is 4, and as I move it, watch what happens. Goes to 5, or no, it goes to 3, and then 2, and then 1, then 0 over here, and then you know, goes up from there. 1 or -1, -2, -3. Whoops, skipped 1. So this makes it really easy to have these holes evenly spaced. So we can move them and they're nicely spaced that way. Okay. Let's see, what's next? Oh, I forgot to rename this stuff. So I'm going to rename this domino base. And I'm going to call this domino hole. And again, I forgot to anchor these. So let me anchor it here. Let me anchor it here. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to place my domino holes. I want to align them. And you can use any number that you want. I usually use like 3, 4, or 5. And let me show you how this works. So I'm just gonna make a copy. So let me go back to the home menu, and let me see. Wait. Oh, and the collisions is off. Good. So I'm gonna hit duplicate, and I'm gonna move it. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit duplicate again. Control D, and Control D. Okay, so now this half of the domino is gonna have 4 holes, and then on this one I'm probably just gonna do 3. So let me duplicate again, Control D, and then move it down, and then let me make 2 more of these. Whoops. And yeah, you can just change the positions to make sure everything is nicely aligned. And let me move my camera. Yeah, you can see this one isn't quite not quite there. That looks almost okay. This one needs to be a little higher. That looks pretty good. Oh, you know what? These are actually, I guess these are too close. Let me see. No, let me. Yeah, you're just gonna have to play around with this until it looks pretty good. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but that looks about right. I think the shadows are making it look like it's not even, but I think everything's kind of aligned now. Okay, so I have my holes, and we can go ahead and move these through the base. And let me show you how we do that. So I'm gonna switch my view. You can see they're not going through the base right now. I wanted to get a side view, and you know, you can do this just using the view selector. If you hit left, it'll give you a nice side view. So it's a little shorter way to do it. I don't know. I like to do it by hand. That looks good. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to select all of the eyes, and so you can do a little drag window thing, and I think you can get them all. Yeah, you can. Looks like I got them all, and then you can move them. You can move them down a little bit. That looks good. Let me see if that's all the way. Yeah, that's all the way through. Okay, so I have my holes in the right position, and I have them going through the base. So now all I need is a divider. So I'm going to go ahead and use the top view again. Okay, and we just want to put a divider in here. And so I'm just going to use a block again. So I'm going to do block, and I'm going to call this domino divider. It's just that part in the middle that divides it in half. Okay, and then I want to change the size. Actually, let me put it in the middle here. Okay, I want to change the size, so I want to make it, let's see. Right now it's a 4. Let's try 8. See how an 8 looks. That, you know what? That looks pretty good. I think an 8, 1, 1 maybe. Oh wait, we're gonna have to make this thicker, but let's try a 1 here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let me see if I can put it in the middle. Almost in the middle. Okay, this is the only thing. Like this part, in order to be exactly in the middle, we're gonna have to, because we can't move it 1 more, because then it's too close to the top holes, and we can't move it down because it's too close to the bottom holes. So we want to be exactly in the middle. And one way to do that is to go back to the model, and instead of moving by 1 every time, you can make it move by half, 0.5. And if you do that, now it should move exactly the way we want it. Oh, and again, I think it just doesn't look right because of the camera. That looks good though. I think that's aligned. It is hard to tell. Again, just because if you don't have this camera exactly centered on your piece, yeah, it is aligned. Okay, so I've put my divider right in the middle, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that it's going all the way through the piece. So again, I will use I'm just going to use the view selector to quickly, and when you do this, sometimes you're going to lose your piece, so you just zoom out, and then you'll be able to find it. Okay, and yeah, the divider is too thin along the green direction, which is along the Y. So I want to make that bigger. So along the Y, let me make that a 3. And then let me move it through entirely. There we go. Okay, so now all of the pieces are, let me go back to the top view. And I zoom out if I ever lose this thing. Okay, so all of the pieces are now through the domino. And what I want to do is I want to turn them into negative parts so that I can cut them out. Okay, so let me do that. So I'm just going to select each of these. I'm going to go back to the model menu, actually already in the model menu. And I'm going to click on each of these and negate them. Okay, I've got them all negated. And now, see how they've turned into negative parts over here in the Explorer. And now I just want to select everything and hit the Union button right here. And it takes a little bit of time. And it worked. Okay. So you can hear I don't know if you can hear the fan on my computer blowing, but this is this is definitely giving my computer a workout. But it worked. It created a beautiful little domino piece. And yeah, it looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and rename this. So I'm going to call this Domino. Whoops, Domino. And again, you could save it. You could right click and save to Roblox, and you could save this in your toolbox. Okay, so this tool is fantastic, right? You can make some really nice models using union and group and negate. But as you could tell, this is this can be, how can I put it? If you start to use too many pieces to do this, you can make some parts that are that make performance, that hurt the performance of your game, right? So if you make a piece and you made it with, I don't know, 100 different little pieces, and then you union it, and then you start putting a lot of those in your game is going to slow down. Roblox actually gives you a warning when your models are too complex, when they have too many parts inside. But if you're just doing something like this, you know, with like less than 10 parts, that's fine. That's not going to be a big deal. What you really should do, if you ever start to need more complicated parts, like if you need a spaceship for your game, right, and it's got a lot of detail, you really don't want to make that in Roblox. You would want to use one of the 3D modeling tools like Maya or Blender, or you could just go online. There's a lot of places that give away free models, or you could pay someone to make it for you. But for simple models, this is fantastic. And to be honest, in all of the games that I make, I never use complicated models, because just for that reason, because it does hurt the performance. And if somebody's playing my game on a phone, it's just not going to be smooth, you know? So my recommendation is do not use really complex models. Stick with low poly. They call them low poly, these simple models, okay? But let me make a few copies of this and then just test it to make sure that it works. And let's see, let me Control D, collisions on. Okay, and let me test it. Oh, I forgot to mention, there is a small play button right up here. So if you're ever not in the home menu and you want to test your game, there is a small play button right here. And right next to it, there's a small stop button. So pretty handy. I like using this one, actually. And let me see, make sure these work. Yep. And again, if you make these holes big enough, you will fall through, but these are small holes. And these look good. I like the way these turned out. Okay, let me stop the game. And again, here, there's a little tiny stop button right up here in the top left corner. And nice. So we've created 2 pieces so far. We created a smiley and we've created a domino. We still have a few more pieces to make. We're going to make a tube and then we're going to cut that in half, make a half pipe, and then we're also going to make a bowl just to get some practice, some more practice with this. So we'll do that in the next video, and I will see you then.